Hi, everybody, and welcome to our live guided meditation today with Healthy Minds Innovations. My name is Stephanie Wagner, and I'm a trainer and program specialist for Healthy Minds Innovations, and I'm really grateful that you're joining me for practice today. So as we're getting started here, would love for you to share with me via the chat box where you live, as well as maybe a word that describes how you're feeling today. It was a very traumatic and distressing day, to say the least, in the US yesterday. So if the emotion that you're feeling is a painful and difficult one, you are not alone. Those feelings are welcome here. So please feel free to share a little bit about how you're doing today in the comments. And as I'm waiting to hear from you, let me tell you a little bit about who we are at Healthy Minds Innovations. I think because it's the new year, we may have some newcomers to our practice today. So we are a nonprofit that's affiliated with a research institution at the University of Wisconsin-Madison called the Center for Healthy Minds. And what we do at Healthy Minds Innovations is that we actually take the scientific insights coming out of the Center for Healthy Minds and we translate them into tools to help people both cultivate as well as measure well-being. We have a unique model of well-being. We refer to it as the Healthy Minds framework. And our framework of well-being has 4 different areas that we focus on training. And these dimensions are awareness, connection, insight, and purpose. We lovingly refer to this framework as ASIP. And within ASIP, we have a set of skills that are both trainable, as well as there's science that links them to being beneficial to well-being and resilience. So when we decided on the practice theme for today, this was prior to the events of yesterday. And so the practice theme that we had landed on was sort of resetting for the new year. So regardless of whether you are meditation curious and you want to learn how to practice, or if you're an existing practitioner that's just wanting to sort of restart and reset for the new year, we had planned this to be the practice theme. And then yesterday happened, and lots of trauma and pain happening here in the US. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate a couple of different things into our practice today. So we will do the introduction to practice, how to do a seated practice at the very beginning, but then we'll move into doing some compassion at the end to work with whatever difficult and painful feelings might be present, sort of based on what's happening in the US. And I know that we oftentimes have people practicing here that are not from the US, but we all have, of course, our own unique suffering going on at this point of the pandemic. So whatever your experience is, there will be a way to work with that during practice today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So take a moment to settle into to your posture. So when we first start to meditate, the idea here is that we find a posture that feels comfortable to us. And so this might mean that you're seated in a chair with your feet on the floor. You might be sitting on a meditation cushion, or you might even choose to practice lying down. So take a moment to just move around a bit and find the posture that feels right for you today. And you might choose to have your hands at your sides or on your lap. And then you can choose to practice with your eyes open or your eyes closed. And so take a moment to settle in. And once you've found a posture that feels right for you, see how your body feels right now. Do you notice feelings of discomfort, ease, pain? Whatever is here, simply notice how your body feels as it's sitting or lying down in this way. The goal here is to not change or fix our experience. We're simply noticing. You might even notice the feeling of your feet wherever they are. If they're firmly planted on the ground, you might just notice the sensations of the soles of your feet. Or maybe if you're lying down, notice the feeling of your heels on the ground. Notice the sensations in your hands. Being with whatever sensations are present. And now bring your attention to your breath. Notice where you feel the breath the strongest. Might be in your nostrils, in your abdomen. So bring your attention to your breath. And now take a couple of slow, deep breaths here. Inhaling. And as you exhale, allow the body to relax. Notice how the body feels on the exhale. Take another couple of deep breaths here and notice how the body feels as you do this. And now allow the breath to return to normal, but continue bringing awareness to this natural feeling of the breath. And as you're doing this, see if you can notice those moments where your mind has wandered, distracted, no longer aware of the breath. And those moments are a success because you've realized that you're no longer aware. And so simply bring your attention back to the breath each time this happens. So let's work with this for a few moments. And so this process of getting lost and coming back and getting lost and coming back happens short times, many times throughout the course of our practice. So continue to bring a light awareness to the breath, be with the breath here for the next few moments. You might notice that your mind might be active, that there's a lot of thoughts. And as long as you're aware of what's happening, aware of the breath, you can see the thoughts, it's not a problem. It's when you're no longer aware, you want to redirect and come back to work with the breath, to be aware of the breath. Okay, you can let go of the practice for a moment and just come back. And I'd be curious what you noticed from your practice. So, did you notice perhaps if your mind was busy? Did you notice your mind was still with few thoughts, little thoughts? Did you find that you were kind of like going back and forth between sort of knowing the breath and not knowing the breath? So share with me in the chat box, if you would, what you noticed. What did you notice from your practice today? Now, for those of you that might be new to meditation, you may have noticed that your mind was really active, probably lots of thoughts. And oftentimes we can come to meditation practice with this expectation that meditation is going to still, quiet, or calm the mind. And that's not what we're doing here. We're actually allowing ourselves to sort of connect with this quality, this capacity that we have to be aware, and we just see what's going on. We see what's going on in our mind. We can see the thoughts. We can see the emotions. We can see sensations in the body. We can be aware of things in the environment, but we're not trying to create an experience that's different than the one that we're having. We're actually just knowing that we are aware. And so that's the skill that we're training here. So thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing your experience here. Your mind was very busy, and mine was as well. So you'll be able to work with this. You can train and cultivate this capacity to be aware. And we do this through using different things as support. So here, what we did was we used the posture and sensations in the body, bringing awareness to the sensations. We use this as the anchor so that we can notice when we're distracted, we're no longer aware of the sensations in the body, and we bring the attention back. Similarly, we worked with the breath. We allow the breath to be natural and easeful, and we bring awareness to the breath, just a light awareness. We're not trying to get too focused here. And then we bring our attention back when we notice that we are distracted or lost in thought. The goal is to just simply know and be with what's happening in the moment. So let's go ahead and do the second part of our practice, which will move into a period of compassion practice. So go ahead and find your comfortable posture again. Allow spine to be straight, the body to be relaxed. You can close your eyes or keep them open. And take a moment to see if you can notice any emotions that are present for you right now. Maybe you're feeling grief, anger, shame, maybe something positive. So whatever is happening, Notice the emotion and maybe label it if in your mind if that feels useful. And then notice how the emotion feels in your body. What sensations are present for you right now? And if there's no strong emotion, that's okay too. Simply just notice the sensations in your body as they're happening right now. Emotions have a lot of sensations. You might feel it in your chest, in your shoulders, muscles in your face. Bring a light awareness to these sensations. And if you're having a difficult or painful emotion right now, underlying this feeling is a desire for things to be different, to be better, to have a sense of well-being and ease. This is our innate compassion, this motivation, and natural response to pain and suffering. And so we can connect with this compassion through reciting a couple of compassionate phrases in our mind, almost like a mantra. Phrases like, may I be free from overwhelm, may I be free from grief. So whatever phrases work for you, see if you can generate a little compassion, connect with this compassionate motivation using these phrases in your mind. You might notice as you're doing this that some feelings arise or not, and whatever's happening, that's okay. We're really simply connecting with this compassionate motivation, this compassionate wish through reciting these phrases in our mind. May I have well being, may I have ease. Notice those moments when your mind has wandered and come back to reconnect with these compassionate phrases. And from time to time, you may choose to just rest, letting go of the phrases, allowing the mind the rest, and then returning as it feels right to you. And then let's begin to widen the circle of our practice, bringing to mind a group of people who are suffering right now, perhaps as a result of the events in the US yesterday, or perhaps in your local community, wherever you may be. And bringing that group to mind and just recognize that just like you want well-being, ease, and peace in your own mind and body and community, so do they. And you can begin to connect with this compassionate wish through these phrases. So may you be free from suffering and hardship, whatever phrase resonates with you. Let's do this for a few moments. If at any point the practice feels overwhelming, too much, begin working with something else in your practice, maybe just returning back to your breath again or sounds of the environment. Please listen to your practice and do what feels supportive for your well-being right now. And let's widen the circle even further for the next few minutes of our practice, wishing for all beings to be free from pain, from suffering, from hardship, knowing that we are undergoing collective trauma as it relates to the pandemic, as it relates to systemic racism and oppression. So just wishing for all beings to have peace and well-being and freedom from suffering. So again, connecting with that compassionate wish through the phrases, or if it works better for you to have that felt sense of compassion in the body, you can just simply bring awareness to that as well. So connecting with this compassionate wish in whatever way feels natural and inspiring to you. May all beings experience peace and safety. Feel loved and included. And then simply let go of the phrases and allow the mind to rest for a moment and notice how you feel after doing the practice. You may notice some emotions are here, maybe some sensations or not. Whatever's happening in your experience right now is absolutely okay. And let's create the heartfelt wish that this practice is of benefit and that it has a positive impact that ripples forth from here, creating peace, inclusion, care, and kindness for all beings. And if your eyes have been closed, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for your practice. I'd be curious what, if anything, came up for you in your practice today, if you'd share word, phrase, or two towards the end. Working with compassion sometimes is not easy, and sometimes we don't always feel things either. I think when we do compassion practice, we can have this expectation that we're going to feel this like wellspring of care, this wellspring of warmth, and that's a byproduct. Sometimes it will be there, sometimes it won't. But what we are doing during our practice is we're recognizing this underlying desire and motivation to be free from suffering and pain, to have ease and well-being. And we do this by seeing this first within ourselves, but then we can begin to widen this circle of compassionate care through extending it to other people. So here today, we did it for our community. We did it for all beings. And to be able to wish for all beings to have a sense of inclusion, care, and safety. So this is a practice that can be done at any moment when you're listening to the news, when you're in the midst of your own sort of difficult feelings. At this point in the pandemic, you may be experiencing despair and loss and continued grief. And so, treat yourself tenderly and kindly and tap into this practice. And if you're feeling inspired to continue to do this more, we have opportunities to continue practicing Mondays in Spanish, Thursdays in English, as you did today. We have, of course, the Healthy Minds Program app that is freely offered due to the generosity of our donors. And then we also have an upcoming practice retreat, our first ever Healthy Minds practice retreat, all about healthy relationships, happening in February. So would really love to see you joining us for that. So wishing you some peace and ease as you go about your day, and want to thank you so much for joining me for practice today. I will be guiding you next Thursday at 11 a.m. Central.